Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
No, there are people who outpun me.
When Nathan drops one, you better be paying attention.
Can I get a hello from Discord?
Hello.
Hello, good to have you.
Hey, good morning.
Come on, Ted, man, that was a good one.
What's that?
I said when Nathan drops a pun, you better be paying attention.
No, very nice.
I also say don't highlight a pun if nobody gets it. Just leave it out.
Yeah,
there.
that's your problem. I'll make a note of that, Neil.
I don't know why I'm even bothering. It's not worth my time.
That's the second time you did that.
I kind of agree with Nathan, though, because sometimes I hear it, I think about it later, I'm like, oh, that's what he said. Okay. Or when you hear the show back.
You guys like this from Discord? Do you want to throw in your 2 cents?
Nice one.
They'll never throw in their 2 cents. You got to really break their arm.
The ballers are so desperate that Flatzoid puts out these great videos, and they go on there and they're confusing how a sextant works versus an astrolabe. And they are purposely leaving out the one part of the astrolabe that gives them a vertical, which is it acts like a plumb line because of its weight. It's got a ring on it, and you hold it. And when it stops swinging, that's your vertical. And it acts just like a plumb line. And the plumb line, in order to have a 90 degree, assumes a horizontal. And so because at sea, the boat is rocking, they don't use astrolabes. They have to use the Earth's horizon for the horizontal reference. And so they know this, or they're so stupid that they're so self-deceived that they don't want to pay attention to it because it might, destroy their position. It's just amazing how they lie in there. So we're just going back and forth in the chat with Flatzoid's latest video. These people are saying the darndest things.
Yeah, after turning up the levels yesterday on Discord, it did definitely distort in yesterday's show. I was quite heartbroken, so I had to go back and change the settings and then start again. So here we go again.
Wait a minute. After what I said, you go to Discord levels. What's up with that?
You are actually distorting a little bit, Nathan. Bit of a buzzing.
Bit of a buzzing. You say a bit of a buzzing?
Yeah, it might be me, I suppose.
Could be your end. Anybody else got any buzzing from me?
Nope, no buzzing. No buzzing.
Probably your end.
I got a slide of Master B for you.
Okay, for what it's worth, it's up.
What does that tell you?
That there's a very artistic builder somewhere. I don't know.
That's a plumb line, a plumb bob, a weight. And just imagine that's the astrolabe, because the astrolabe's got a hook on it. You got to hold it until it steadies itself like that. And what does it find you? A vertical. And what's the vertical automatically give you?
Horizontal?
Thank you. And at C with the sextant, since you can't do it with a plumb bob, what gives you your horizontal at C?
Horizon.
Yeah, sea level, all the way to the horizon. That's why
Cool.
they draw that tangent plane there. They think by saying we don't need to use the horizon, i.e., with a plumb bob, that you can somehow say you don't have a horizontal established to get a 90. Perpendicular. One line is not perpendicular.
So yeah, so I hope the levels are nice. We're all sounding nice and rich and nice.
Nice pun. Nice pun. Did I set you up for that one or what?
Told you, you got to be paying attention when Nathan drops one.
I got to help him every now and then, though.
You're too loud, Deal.
He was born that way. That's racist.
What?
You're a bit too loud.
I'm too loud.
Too close to your mic.
Me.
I didn't mean go away, but he has.
Can you go to Master B again to show another slide?
Yeah, sure. Okay, we've invested into it this far. Go ahead.
Well, it's not the last straw, I hope.
Make your own astrolabe.
With a protractor. What is that string and what's that weight at the bottom for?
A plumb line, same as the other diagram or picture.
Yeah, they're saying you don't need that. How do you know how to hold the astrolabe then? They've lost so bad that they have to ignore the function of a tool, an instrument, and leave it out on purpose. That's how bad they've lost to the elevation angle.
Right on. Hey, Neil.
I'm back.
Let's have a check. Yeah, you sound normal now. You were just, I don't know why, you were just miles too loud a minute ago.
Could be because I'm moving around, so sometimes the mic goes under me, and sometimes it's right in my face.
Very good.
It's hard to talk with the mic under you. Try it in front of your face next time.
So what's going on? Here's my position on things, and I'll leave it at that. But
Okay,
this is our
thanks for that.
position anyway.
Oh, I thought you'd leave it at
When
that. Oh, sorry. I misunderstood.
When ether comes across our table, we smash it like usual. Other than that, I'm not paying nobody attention. Go do whatever you want to do.
And that's why you brought it up,
Yeah,
because of
get
how little
dealt with.
attention you're giving it.
Well, I'm just letting you know where my new position
Just letting
is.
us know how little attention you're going to be paying it. Thank you so much.
I think he's taking the ether or position now.
That's too old. You can't use it no more. Nathan, cancel that pun out.
Hey, Nathan could roll with me if he wants.
Got another new video that I'm going to release to the members right now. Keep
What's it
forgetting.
called?
They don't get thumbnails. I run out of time, start the live show, and then forget that I've edited the video all day. But there we go.
Hey, Chocolate.
Hey,
What's the
Chocolate.
name of the new video?
Morning, guys.
Morning. Like pulling teeth trying to get the name of the video.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah, what's the name of the video?
I'm
Since there's
sorry.
no thumbnail yet.
The title of the video is Ether is Love.
Will it be hard to understand?
Very hard, indeed.
Well, at least I get a beating for it.
By the way, you deserve props for that yesterday. That was great, Nathan. Okay, so ether's love.
Yeah,
But they're not.
Really?
But they're not getting it. Yeah, but they're not getting it. You could explain it to them, and it's still. There's an ether.
That explains failed relationships because it's non-manifest, that love.
you wouldn't have been proud. You stepped away when that discussion took place, and it disseminated into quite a lot of swearing. Hence, it took all day to edit them all out. I never learned.
Oh.
If I stopped swearing, it would take me half the time to edit these videos.
I always step away when it gets that way. I'm not here for that.
Well, that should say, that speaks volumes, really. Anyway, you can listen to the PG rated. Now, I have left some, not very many, swear words in where appropriate, or more obviously where I couldn't edit them out without it sounding weird. But there we go. So I've done my damnedest.
Hold on. You could buy rap CDs that are cleaned up. So why can't we just get cleaned up versions and put them out?
That's what I'm saying. I have done. But for instance, I haven't edited out the word wanker. And at one point I call him a retard. Well, at lots of points I call him a retard, but in only one instance did I actually leave it in. And I'm just trying to explain that although there is a mild amount of swearing in there, a lot of the more aggressive swear words and constant verbal attacks from me on him, because I was so annoyed with him, were cut out. So there's huge swathes of stuff cut out that is superfluous. It's not needed. It's not required in the video. So I just hacked it all out. And a 45-minute video went down to about 17 minutes. Now it's PG-13. I hope that's good enough for 10th.
It's your show. It's the audience that you want to reach, that if it's left the way it's at, there'll be hindrance to it. My goal is to get the truth out. Asking for PG-rated shows is really not a big request. It's like if you came to, well, let me put it this way. I'll speak for myself. If I go to dinner at a friend's house and he's got other couples there with their significant others, and I start swearing every third word when I want to have fun and discuss different topics, some people will say, why is that guy having to use those words to express? I mean, especially if there's kids in the next room or whatever. So it's like, how do you behave in public in order for all of the crowd to pay attention to the points you're making?
Welcome. Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link together with a thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, Then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, Chocolate Sane, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yo, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Relatively lukewarm reception to this live show, but we'll crack on with housekeeping nonetheless. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge, that's a horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Even if it's lukewarm, no.
I heard nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve from the people that believe that the horizon's Earth curve. Does that make any sense?
It's the primary principal claim that they make, though, isn't it? That the horizon is Earth curve and it blocks boats and buildings and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you would think, but apparently that's changed a little bit.
I mean, we've pointed out how it's wrong. It's still absolutely the globe Earth rhetoric.
Oh, so if it's still the rhetoric, that means it's only changed due to the people that actually want to defend it. They're the ones who are changing it, not the actual rhetoric itself.
This distinction has been discussed last week when we were talking about everyone being in the same pond, and kind of a little bit at the beginning of this week as well. We're all bundled in the same pond together as one, let's call it an audience, if we're talking to you, the viewer, right? You as an audience, as a group, are as one with the anti-flat earthers or globe heretics. Why do we call them globe heretics? Well, because when Chocolate's saying, well, it's not quite like that anymore when we talk about Earth curve being the horizon that a boat will go over and you'll measure how many feet and inches it's blocked by when you ignore perspective. Yeah, the person that's confronting us understands that also that the horizon is an Earth curve, so they've got all sorts of other explanations of their own volition to describe what it might or might not be. And some of it will come from a mixture of globe Earth rhetoric and their own ad hoc nonsense. But either way, it's not the globe Earth rhetoric that they are spewing. They're not regurgitating what the globe Earth claims. The globe Earth claims that the horizon is a geometric limitation to our view and that boats fall over it. We've debunked it. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 39 and 59 miles and every distance to the horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as laid out in the Earth curve maths. And the distance to the horizon in the Black Swan is beyond the limitations of an Earth sphere radius 3959. Therefore, the horizon is not and cannot be Earth curve.
Well, I guess that sucks for the people who think that the horizon is a physical sphere edge.
Yeah, for your normies out there, we've debunked the horizon as being Earth curve. Now, that might put you in the same pond as us if you start trying to explain how the horizon that was supposed to be blocking the boat with a feet and inches value ascribed to it is actually a refracted horizon, not physical, not blocking boats and buildings and moving with the weather. Then it's not proving that it's a physical limitation. I mean, then you're just in the pond with us now. You know, just as dangerous to your average normie who hasn't yet been told that the horizon isn't Earth curve and hasn't had explained to him or her why the horizon is not Earth curve. They just are under the blissful ignorance that it is Earth curve. And so long as they're not aware of why it wouldn't be and are coming up with their own ad hoc explanations for why it isn't Earth curve, then they're not dangerous to the rest of society. Whereas you, our anti-flat Earth brethren, you're just as dangerous as us with your refracted horizons. That's why you're in the pond here with us. Anyway, any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nah.
It's over there.
No, it's not. It's over here.
Yeah, that too. It's over everywhere. except for when it's night.
How's the sound, people of the live stream chat? All 55 of you. Wow, great. Well, Vince started. I've got 55 people watching. That's pretty good. Excellent. Can you let me know if it sounds good? As it was distorting and popping and crackling yesterday when I turned up OBS. So it'd be nice to have a sound check. And if it's silky smooth and buttery greatness, then please let me know. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
See question number 1.
Everything is deviating because of the non-inertial reference frame, but we wouldn't expect to see any deviation, though.
A contradiction in terms. If everything's deviating, that means
Oh,
we're
really?
seeing everything deviate. So therefore, you can't say everything's deviating, but I don't expect to see any deviation. That makes no sense. Although that is pretty much the argument we get from our anti-flat Earth brethren here in this same pond.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you could tell me that the reference frames the
No.
globe claim are ruined.
Damn, I was just going to say, listen, man, you just don't understand that your reference frames have been ruined. That's it. Case
Dan made it
closed.
onto yesterday's thumbnail. We can't reuse that.
I wasn't here yesterday. I don't know what happened.
He got a mention, so he made it onto the thumbnail. Why not? Any scientific evidence?
Did he ever square that up with what's the other guy, Wolfie, who was correcting for parent reference frames when this
I
guy's saying
don't
reference
know.
frames are ruined?
I mean, I'm glad you mention it, but other than when we discuss it like now, I don't know. I don't watch Wolfie. I don't watch Simon Dan.
Neither do I.
Hey, Adam.
Does he even still have streams?
I don't know. I don't keep up with these anti-flat earthers. I have no clue what they're doing. That's why it kind of makes me smile when they start basically appealing for my attention, demanding where I should be or what I should be doing or what I'm not doing. It's like, do you not understand that you're craving my attention, not the other way around? Does this not strike you as obvious at this point as you're pestering me for my attention? I'm not on your show, in your comments, watching your shit, because I don't care. You care deeply about what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it with you. You're an
What?
idiot.
But Nathan, they being on your tail and in your streams and in your chat and your comment section, that means you're obsessed with them, right?
Yeah, exactly, Alwyn. You've got it. But they're idiots. That's what I say. They don't recognise this when they're doing it. It's like, hello, you're seeking out my attention. What's that? I won't meet you on a neutral platform. It's like, how do these people ever get laid? Moving on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Asking that, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, by asking that, are they conceding that their platform is not neutral when they do that?
Oh, you'd have to ask John. He's not here at the moment.
Okay.
I thought we'd settled it. It's not a neutral platform, it's a neutral outcome platform that they seek.
Well, every time Nathan mentions their name, they feel that he's seeking them out.
I'm reactive, 100%. Stuff comes across my path, I'll react to it. If stuff that comes across my path happens to have your name as an audience member in it, then it'll be reacted to, because that's the subject matter that we deal with, and if you're covering it and it gets put in front of me, I'll deal with it. It doesn't mean that I'm proactively out seeking your attention. It just means I'm reactively dealing with some nonsense that you've spewed. That's all it means. It's not, read too much between the lines, you little fuzzy sods. Anyway, where were we with the scientific evidence of gravity? None, clearly. Okay, what about any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Thank you, Jimbo, the only one. This sounds good.
That would be impossible.
I know, Chris.
You can't create any viable hypothesis because you can't have a phenomenon that is natural if your entire field is based on presuppositions.
You're going to need R for that, in other words. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
It's as big as Venus?
According to Christian Huygens, when he made the assumption that Venus is Earth's twin by way of the presupposed assumed value of Venus and Earth with the same radius value. Well, no. It's just a light in the sky. We don't have any idea what it is, where it is, how far it is, or how big it is. Applying Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion to derive the scaling value means you have to make an assumption of something size in the night sky in that model to give you distances. So the assumption is made that Venus is the same size as Earth. If you were ever wondering as an audience member why Venus is called Earth's twin, now you know.
Okay, then I got nothing.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
At the
Give me
center
that for
of the sphere. Aren't you going to need a sphere for that?
At the centre of the presupposed spherical Earth? I mean, it kind of answers itself because you're going to be talking about the model as opposed to anything in physical reality. But the implication is there because they assume that there's a molten iron core at the centre of the Earth that they think they're standing on, i.e. a sphere-shaped Earth. So yes, you will need a sphere Earth for that. You will need R for that. You will need a geometric horizon and geometric assertions in navigation to have the maps match. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle from a curved baseline?
Does not compute.
Negative. Without the horizontal plane, you cannot have an elevation angle.
That's correct. Right, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core?
You're going to need R for that.
Right on. Just checking you're all on your toes. What about sky vacuum? Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
You're going to need at least 3 containers for the demonstration.
Try that once more. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Well, how are you going to measure the
definition
pressure?
of gas pressure?
Right, how are you going to measure the pressure then?
Well, you need a volume. If you look at Richard Branson's globe Earth in a balloon, right, you'd calculate it based on the volume. So in his balloon Earth in a balloon, there's an area between the high pressure gas, which would be the clouds on the surface of his balloon, and the outside edge of the limitations presented by the containment. Now, obviously, directly below him, what he's got is high pressure gas next to 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum, a direct violation of natural law. If you assert that the black area is space, outer space, a vacuum, 10 to the minus 17 torr, an area that rockets travel through, you know, the one that sucks the alien out, that's what they claim this bit is. It sucks aliens out of ships, but doesn't have the high pressure gas right next to it dispersing into it. It takes the gas pressure from a spaceship into it, but doesn't take the unprotected gas from Earth into it. Yeah, this description of a black sky vacuum, aka outer space, is nonsense. Shout out to Godzilla37. Just heard, quote, ships go over the horizon, end quote, in chat. 6 years we've made it this far, but we'll have to shut down now. It's over. You're right. I mean, thank you for the super chat, Godzilla. Right on.
But I was gonna say about the sky vacuum, Nathan. You might be misunderstanding why ships have all the gas ejected out of them when they open up. It's because they don't have enough gravity to hold the gas in there.
Sorry, gravity. Excellent. I asked for scientific evidence of gravity earlier and I got stoned silence out of you guys. So, according to gravitational ideas and conceptual medium bending, gas go down, go boom, boom. So this gas that's produced at ground level in the vegetation, for instance, with oxygen, that's making its way up from ground level to, let's say, this little thin layer here, yeah? You see this little hazy layer, yeah? We'll say that that's the gas that's been produced at ground level and made its way up. You're saying that that gas that's gone up is actually going down, go boom, boom, like rain. That gas. No, it isn't. It's going up.
But it's like a sticky goo. It's going to stick to whatever has the most gravity, right?
No, sticky is not what you describe gas as. It's unbonded. Sticky implies it's stuck together like liquids and solids. No, it definitely isn't. It's unbonded, completely separated. No, definitely not sticky.
Yeah, but gravity makes it sticky.
Gravity makes gas go down, go boom, boom, and stick together? No, that defies what gas is. Not stuck together, moving around in all directions at high velocity. That's not going down, go boom, boom, and not sticky, and not gravity. That's not what gas does.
Some fluids are sticky.
Fluids? Well, gas, if described as a fluid when compacted into a container, for example, would still require containment.
That was brilliant, Owen. That was 3 or 4 times you put the false proposition. I mean, Nathan picked him up each time, but that was beautifully done. Consistent.
How come he gets the commendation?
Sticky gas, then fluid. He just flowed. It was beautiful. Okay, you picked it, but Owen, respect there, mate.
I can't believe he's getting the credit.
Yeah, I'm training my scattergunning skills as a baller.
What the hell? I'm picking this nonsense as I'm getting fired at and getting applaud for the gunman. Did we cover everything?
I said it seems that Adam came just in time for the shotgun approach.
I just wanted to say I succeeded because you never actually got to the point where you made me define what gravity actually is in order to somehow make gas stick to a ball.
I don't need to. There's no scientific evidence of it, and we already covered it. So when I said we've already covered that we haven't acquired any scientific evidence for this claim.
What do you win?
Win?
He said, I win. He said, I win. I said, what does he win?
I don't know.
What all the Globers win when they think they win after their little nonsense scattergun bullshit.
That's not true
They
either.
just get to go home. They get to go home and go to sleep and they're under their comfy blanket. And consensus helps them out, tucks them in bed at night.
And zero of that is true. Hold on. No. I can't disagree with Chocolate more here. No. Number one, they don't align with consensus. Consensus, for example, says that a boat will fall over the physical hill called Earth curve, and you'll be able to measure how many feet, because feet ignores perspective, that is blocked by that physical Earth curve horizon. That's what a normie, consensus-believing, standardized Joe Blogs public guy or girl think. Does an anti-flat earther think that? Refraction! What's that? It's moving with the weather at a rate that's bent mathematically with something you call refraction, but isn't. It's a derivation of an R value we debunked, meaning that it's not blocking things at a physically measurable feet and inches value then. Oh, well, that's definitely not in line with consensus after they come here and get challenged on that back chocolate. No. What they hope to achieve is alignment with consensus. But they definitely don't get that. That's why they're in the pond here with us.
Right, they went a couple of steps too far to go back to that.
It's a good question.
I wasn't talking about like the anti-flat earthers. I meant more like normies who just stumble upon this.
Nah, stumble upon this is stumble down the hill. And once you're stumbling down that hill, there is no, I can now align with consensus again. This is a massive pond, right? At the bottom, it is at the bottom of a massive cliff, a huge cliff. Now, on the top of the cliff is normie society. Now, if you get too close to the edge, peer over, and then fall in, it doesn't matter what you are as you tumble down the hill into this pond. It doesn't matter if you're denying that the globe is real or denying that flat Earth is how the Earth is measured. It makes absolutely sod all difference. You are just as dangerous to the rest of society, regardless. Once you get to this hole, once you get to this edge of a cliff, oh, what's this cliff? Whoa, hang on. I don't want to be falling down here. Doesn't matter. Once you're in, you're in. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you fall. Doesn't matter if you believe in a globe. Once you fall down the hole, you're still down the hole.
Right.
You hit it right in the head.
I'd like
Once
to think
you're
of-
in, you're
I'd like
in.
to- I'd like to think of us more like we're one of those big, huge nets, right? That they hold up at the side of the road at mountain ranges at some places where rocks can fall. They have these huge nets installed to prevent rocks from accidentally falling onto cars, right? Feel we're more like that.
What? That's a crap analogy.
Oh,
Nets. What's
okay.
saving anything from anybody when you fall down the hill of flat Earth? There's just some magical net that's there protecting you from from the snakes and parasites and leeches that are in the pool below. There's no nets. You fall down. Whatever twigs you grab on the way down, you'll be lucky. And when you climb out on the banks at the bottom, you're faced with everybody with smiles, presenting all this food to you. You're like, wow, this is really nice. Look at all this food. Then you have a little glance around, and in the bushes, the snipers pointing their guns at you, waiting to pick your pockets and get your address off you, and things like that.
Okay, fair enough. I was more comparing like the anti-flat earthers attitude, like the rocks being stuck in the net and them being like, we're not being blocked here. We're still on top of this mountain. We're not stuck in this net.
Gotcha. I've gotcha. Okay, here's a better one then. Hopefully in line with your analogy, or close enough with chocolates. So what do they win? Well, they win the perception that they've built a little bit of a rope ladder. You know, they've twisted one rung onto the rope ladder that they're hopefully going to have long enough to throw right up to the top of the cliff so they can climb up and out and back in line with consensus. So that's what they win. One rung. Hope. That's what they win.
Right, because they're not going to go back up the hill. They're
Nope.
stuck in the net.
Exactly. They're never getting back up, but they've managed to fashion one rung of a rope ladder in the vain hope that they'll get back up to the top of the cliff and align with consensus normies. It's like, you'll never align with the consensus normies. You'll never just believe that Earth curve is a thing that's in the maths that the boats go over and you can see how many feet it's blocked by. Because you know too much. You can't get back there. Hello, John. What came up for John earlier about neutral outcome platforms? I said you could only ask John in that regard. I've forgotten what the question was, though. I'm a rubbish host. I'm sorry. Great lead in for John there.
Yeah, they got so many neutral platforms like Nicktoons and Brewhead. So neutral.
Yeah, like NASA, totally neutral. I do like the neutral outcome platform, though, because that's essentially what it is as they come here begging for our attention. Obviously, we've run out of pond analogies. Good to have you, though, John. Right, who's going to break this stony silence? We have done all the housekeeping questions you appreciate. This is what happens when you mess around with sound settings for 20 minutes before the pre-show. They're just not warm enough, ladies and gentlemen. That's the problem. It's my fault. It is poor hosting on my part.
What's the problem, Nathan?
The stony silence during a live show. Me talking to myself about my inability to warm you guys up in the pre-show.
I don't think that's the problem.
Nah, everybody loves a bit of silence in a live show. It's not a problem.
No, I don't think it's your problem. I think people are pondering the last statement, perhaps, and they're needing a little time to reflect on it.
Yeah. Like Narcissus staring into the pond.
I mean, when you talk about neutral platforms, what comes to mind is that one side gets to speak and the other side gets to speak, and the audience gets to decide who won in their eyes. And if you come into it with a bias, then even if someone else wins, your bias is going to make you choose your bias. So that's why everything has to be documented and go back to definitions and the meanings of words so that no one could hijack a good debate. And I remember the one that Refracted Curvature had at McToon and Ruhif, where he was trying to say something, they overtalked him, and then McToon grabs a pad and starts drawing out exactly what John was saying. I mean, it was hilarious to see how they bungled their own. I mean, they can't even have a one-sided debate channel because they ended up proving what John said by drawing straight lines.
Yeah, QE's been saying that for the longest time. Just let them open them incoherent pie holes, end quote.
I mean, it was funny because John was trying to tell him that. No, it can't come from John. It's got to come from them. And then all they did was destroy their own argument with it.
Took the words out of my mouth. It can't come from John because he's a flat earther and these people are anti-flat earthers. So it doesn't matter if John's right, wrong, or indifferent. It doesn't matter if he's opened up a decent discussion point. He's wrong. He's a flat earther. Now let me paraphrase what he's just said in the same way. I've said it. Now it's right.
That's right. So John used psychology and realized that it's almost like this. No, you are not going to prove flat Earth. I'm going to do it with this sketch right now. I get to prove flat Earth. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because when I say it's flat Earth that we're measuring, it's less devastating. That's what it boiled down to. Go on.
It is. No, it is. It's very, there's so many times I've laughed so hard based on what they've responded with. It's like, wait a minute, that's exactly what you were not allowing this guy to say, but now you get to say it and you don't realize what you just admitted to? I mean, it's hilarious.
And they've started with the personal attacks. I don't know if you've noticed, John, below the live videos. I just ban instantly people who do this. But people coming and just questioning your credibility in terms of your career path. And you're like, he's covered the subject matter and humiliated his opponent by pointing out that he's utilizing a flat Earth. So what's the response? This guy's a fake engineer. That's what we get.
Well, that seems the most reasonable way to deal with it. I mean, I did put out a stipulation that I would concede to everything. And, you know, that's what I did. And they still have to attack me. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Losing's a painful process, though, for these people. But like I say, it's kind of all for nothing. They've lost anyway. They know too much. They're already in the pond. What difference does it make?
Let not the audience miss that great point John just made. As a flat earther, you can go into any debate and say, I'll concede to everything, and I'll still win.
Go on, expand on why, or I will.
Well, the fact that to get an elevation angle, as John was using in that debate, negates everything because it can't work from a curved baseline. So you can say whatever you want. You could use the Haversine formula to get 2 points on the spherical surface to get your what they call the PZX spherical triangle. You can do all that. Go ahead, go and do it. How did it start? Where did you get the two straight lines?
Flat plane.
So it's over. So use the Earth that was flat, and then through mathematical geometric considerations, made it a globe. Oh, that's great.
So you measured it flat, and it's described specifically as an angle, which can only be done if it's flat. So they have to acknowledge and concede that it's flat. Hence, John can declare that he can concede to anything that they like. Doesn't matter. Oh, right, you want to use long and lat lines. No worries. Yeah, you still need a flat earth for that.
So we could say, hey, baller, you started flat first, right?
Yes, without exception.
The black swan destroys any claims of curvature that you would need to be living on a sphere with a radius of 3959. Just completely destroys it. And the elevation angle shows that they had to start off flat before they can make that globe mathematically, reifying it. So one proves Earth is flat, the other one proves Earth is not a ball with curvature based on 3959 radius.
Wait. I was told, who gave you that number? It's way too small.
Who gave us that number? It's their number.
Exactly.
However, the answer to that question is from a... Hold on. The answer to that question is from a flat plane. Where did we get the number? From a flat plane.
Where did we get the number they've been claiming all these years?
The radius, yeah.
Is that what they're asking?
Yeah. Where did we get the number? Because it seems too small. Is the inference, i.e., their globe number radius thereof is too small. Where did we get it from? Okay, well, it's standard globe rhetoric. You don't need to look very far to find 3959. However, where did that number come from? It came from measuring a flat plane.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's right. I should have thought of that. I didn't think of that.
We're back to
imagine that for years we've been told there's an R measurement. We've been told that there's the body of science that proves R. We've been told all this nonsense. And to come to 2022 and now we're asked or 2020, I should say, where did we get this number? If that's not hilarious to you, I feel bad. Like, are you serious? This is where you guys are, you Globers. This is terrible.
Yeah, but that's why I didn't think of that, because I was laughing too hard. Like, you serious, right?
I'm sorry, it's just so funny.
I've come a long way, but by the same token, the rinsing and repeating never ends. So recently, YouTube has been releasing some of the old shows. I moan about a few seconds of silence in 2022. Back in the day, there'd be, I don't know, great big chasms of the show that were just completely dead, with just a slideshow and no audio whatsoever, nobody talking. Me sat around waiting for a guest to arrive, and then one guest would arrive, and that would be the show. Now, I mean, we've got loads of people not saying anything now. It's much better.
That's funny.
Every time it happens, though, it does remind me of the ATRH Darth with his Discord server along with, the mock Discord server. Shout out to Mario knows it's, shout out to Mario knows it's God. But what about the gradient? He says. What about it? The gas pressure gradient? Yeah, you'll still need a container for that gas pressure to have it gradient.
Silence, Legolas!
Right, Silence Legolas is Darth's piss take out of us. And he does globe Earth dictate rather than flat Earth debate, which is great. And in that show, he's got a server like we've got here, right? So, down the side of the screen, he's got the server and it's got participants, and it says something like 999,000 participants. And then I ask Discord a question, or the mock me, Ethan Woodley, asks his Discord server for a reply. And it's just a tumbleweed sound effect with, 999 people not saying anything, which I quite like, given that, generally speaking, if you go to any show that is involved with a Discord server and they're trying to give you the audio from the server, it is normally always inaudible chaos from the server. Everyone talking all at once, and just a shit show. So to have tumbleweeds come back when there's loads of people, there isn't actually loads of people in there today. There's actually hardly any, for a change. But I don't know why that is. I think it's the ether believers on strike, perhaps.
That guy's a genius, and he should come out with more material because that is hysterical.
It was very funny.
I upset the ether believers yesterday.
What'd you do?
Well, I told them that their wave belief comes from particles.
That'll do it.
Yeah, they kind of got stuck in a spot, like, where are you going to demonstrate this wave? In the double slit? There's no wave there. There's a diffraction pattern, but that's just a bunch of slits, not a wave.
Yeah, fortunately, in terms of the YouTube hat on now, support that I'll receive or lose as a result of this, I know that it's negligible, i.e. that damage was done several years ago and has never been rebuilt. Now it's just the odd person that sees us as, the baller they need to debate with, as yesterday's or the day before yesterday's show goes. Now, I don't know why there's this influx of ether believers other than it being a cyclical pattern I seem to observe. But in any event, that's what we're getting at the moment. We're getting people, again, from the same pond, just this time calling themselves flat earthers as opposed to anti-flat earth globe heretics, but challenging us based on nonsense they want to disseminate about a religious belief they have in an ether rather than a sky vacuum. Okay, so we've had to be taking that crap apart over the last few weeks. But there we go. I'll just plug Nathan. Just let me plug this 1 sec. So I've cut out another clip. It's available to members now if you're a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. The latest one, a different discussion about ether from yesterday, is called Ether is Love. And these will come out PG-13 rated on over the weekend for your average Joe. So if you're not a member, that's fine. Obviously, better if you were. But if you're not, you can still see it over the weekend. I'll release them to the public on Saturday and Sunday at the usual live show time, so 2 p.m. UK time. I'll release those on Saturday and Sunday, so look out for them if you're not a member. If you are, they're available now. Ether is Love, and the other video which came out yesterday, Ether, ... Catch my drift, ? So check them out. Sorry, 10th, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, these people who are now bringing this ether without any validation for it are doing the same thing that the heliocentrists and did when they lied about the nature of Earth. And so some people like us who say, look, let's not repeat the same mistake of just having a guess at what something is and then not proving it and then making it a doctrine for people to believe. Isn't that what you just came out of? Isn't that what you were upset about, that they lied to you about the nature of Earth? Why are you doing that with other subjects? So your show and that episode that happened a while back ago was to call that into everyone's attention, that lets ourselves, who found out that we've been lied to, do not do the same thing that the liars did to us. That's all you said. Can you show me the scientific method for making such claims? And if you can't, then maybe just hold it to an opinion, or I don't know, but I'm thinking this, which everyone could do. But the minute you say it is this, then we're going to say, how do you know that? Can you show proof? Well, it's non-physical. You can't see it. Well, then how do you know how to define it? Well,
nothing cannot exist, Ken. Don't you understand that? Nothing cannot exist.
Thank you, Neil. I was in the middle of saying something.
Well, you got the electromagnetic wave tent.
Okay, carry on. He's in the middle of his flow. Go ahead.
Well, not anymore. But that's the point. You can come up with any kind of theory in the sense of not scientific theory, something that's proven, but just theory in general. I think it might be this. Okay, why? What makes you think that? Go through the process that got you there. I want to know why you think it might be this. That conversation could be had 24/7. Okay, now you have any proof for this? No, I don't. Not at the moment, but I'm researching. Great. Well, when you do, come back. That is a good conversation. But they won't have that. They want to say.
If I may,
I was just adding on to you.
The only reason why we're even onto this subject is because we have been lied to. the speed of light. What is light? We've been lied to about light. So this is why we're trying to find answers. It's not just because we're completely speculating, but because there's a whole nother realm of understanding that not a lot of us even comprehend to understand what's going on. So we're on a whole nother level.
Hang on, Neil.
Find answers.
I'd like to go back and forth with this gentleman in Discord.
Go
Now,
ahead, Tenth.
would you tell me what position of this argument you stand on first, so I know?
I'm on the position of light and ether.
Okay, good enough. Now let's have a civil discussion here. So you say you're saying all this about ether because you've been lied to about the nature of Earth and other things before. Is that clearly restating your words?
Yeah.
Okay. So now if I ask you for evidence of it and you don't have any, what position should you now take until evidence is gained to prove a point?
I've already provided evidence for it.
And what is that evidence?
It was the evidence of the torsion field under a supercell.
A torsion field under a supercell. And how does that prove ether?
That is the dielectric field. That is the plane of inertia and how everything is manifested.
And how do you know that's how everything is manifested, and why is it dielectric?
Because when you, for instance, take say a rose, everything that a rose takes is from Mother Earth, which is also magnetic. Everything has a geometric symmetry that is built off of this. And you can see by the way that the rose grows, the flowers themselves are also geometric. So everything from everything, I mean, every living thing on Earth has this geometric symmetry that you can see through the supercell of a magnet, which can also be equated to phi.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
What?
I was going low. Hang on 1 second. So you're telling me
The golden ratio. In simpler terms,
hang on. I got
golden
it.
ratio.
Hang on, you're going too fast for me. Let's get one thing straight. Does the rose have DNA to be a coyote?
No.
Thank you. So it's a code that the creator put in that a rose is a rose, and there's variety of roses because the code changes for that variety. A yellow rose has the DNA and information for yellow rose. A red rose has DNA and information for a red rose. Now, how does that prove ether?
The DNA is not it. That DNA doesn't describe ether.
No, DNA is a code. You brought up the rose. I didn't. You told me it has a shape, geometric. It's beautiful. The golden ratio. Yes, like a seashell. Yeah. I get it. Okay, fine. So the creator has a system in which he has designed things and off of those designs, other things. But it's in the code of DNA. So the DNA of a human being is not the same as of a rose. Is it now?
No, but there are.
Okay, hang on. Now I'm going to tie you to your claim. How does DNA, information that makes one thing different than another, prove ether?
Say that again? I'm sorry.
How does DNA, which is information that makes one thing different than another, i.e. a human being versus a rose, how does that prove ether?
Well, that's genetics. I mean, you're only limited to the pool. So
no, you brought up the rose. I hate to remind you. You brought up the rose, and you said it proves ether. I'm asking you how, and now you're backpedaling.
I gave the rose as an example of the torsion field and its golden ratio that everything has.
Yes, and you did a fine job, and then I challenged it, and you still haven't tied it together as to why that proves ether. The only thing you did is say that the DNA for a rose is different than the DNA of a human being, but that doesn't prove ether.
Actually, you brought up the DNA. I didn't bring up the DNA.
Right. No, I brought it up because you said a rose. And I said, well, what makes the golden ratio fit the rose the way it does? A rose is a rose because of the information for it to be a rose. And that's called the DNA of the rose. Are you not aware of that?
Okay. But that doesn't
talking about the self-symmetry phylotaxis.
Hold on, whoever's joining in, can you stop? Just let him respond.
Ether's not in its DNA, so to say. Ether is around it, so as it's growing, it's picking up the outside information and vibrations.
I know that. Field. I want you to prove that. I want you to. Let's.
All right.
You
so
just
when you grow crops and you take a magnet and you place it near the crop, it will alter the way that it grows. It actually magnifies the way that it grows, and you get better crops that are grown next to a magnet because it's picking up the outside field. It's not itself genetically, but it's the outside field and energy and inertia that it's picking up.
Really now? If I go grab some cow manure, hang on.
You can do that test yourself. And I would call that an experiment, too.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Good. I happen to grow food, have grown food. I get cow manure, other manure, and I mix it with the soil and the minerals and all the things that a good plant needs is taken out of the ground. Now you're saying that someone took a magnet and put it around crops and something happened to help the crops grow. And from that, you get something non-manifested called ether. Is that right?
Well, it is manifested.
Okay, show it to me.
Because you could see that the way that the crop grows. If you do an experiment, you can have an independent variable.
No, not show the crops. Why is it every time we get to what's ether, we get shown crops growing? It's not ether.
Say that again. You're kind of
not ether. It's not ether. That's crops growing.
Yes.
That's not ether.
Why are the crops growing?
Who cares? Am I making any claims about crops? Right. Who cares?
Well, that's the question that we're at.
No, we're asking what ether is. We're asking you to show it if it's manifest.
Ether is the plane of inertia. It is the dielectric field. So when you put ether next to a plant and let it go and let it grow, you will see the result.
Okay, if you put ether next to a plant.
Yeah.
Show me
if
ether.
You put
show me a bag of ether. Okay, stop. It's not a back and forth. It's constantly verbal diarrhea and through anything that anybody has to say in challenge. Show me a bag of ether.
Davis wrote about 5 books.
Who's that interrupting? Who's interrupting?
And the magnetic field.
Whoever's doing that second time, please. You've said we can see it, and you've said that if we put crops next to ether, next to, let's see it, so I can put it next to my crops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a magnet, you're controlling the ether at a magnet is a higher controlled amount of the ether.
But you haven't shown it me yet, so I'm not going to decide.
I did. I did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, a couple episodes ago.
What?
Yeah, I did.
I thought it was on manifest.
That's because that's your basic understanding of the word manifest and what we mean.
What do you think manifest means?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not using it. I'm not using it.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Wow.
So
If we
ether's
need to
not
take you
using the word
seriously, you can't say
Guys
things
in
like it
G-Plus.
doesn't matter.
Guys in G-Plus.
The word, the
Hello?
definition of the word you're using doesn't matter. How are
I
we
didn't
supposed to
use
take
the
that
word
seriously, bro?
manifest.
Seriously.
No, ether's non-manifest.
Neil brought up manifest.
Because ether's described as non-manifest.
Manifest means to bring something into fruition.
Yep.
That's
ether's-
nice,
Physically
though,
bring
that
it
you
into
brought up.
fruition.
Right, and ether's described as non-manifest.
No, that's
So
only
they'll
half
never
of the
bring it into
conjugate field.
fruition.
The dielectric side is non-manifest. It's the magnetic side that is manifest.
Well, that's magnetism.
No,
Is the
no
magnetic
one's yet
side
to define
what you call
magnetism.
ether?
Can you define magnetism?
Why? Am I making a claim about it?
Well, you're saying that's magnetism, and I'm telling you that it's half of the conjugate field of the ether.
Right, you told me that there's a magnetic field, and I said that's magnetism. So what, I've got to suddenly evidence that when you say there's a magnetic field, and I say, no, that's just magnetism, not ether, magnetism.
No,
That's challenge worthy
no
in
branch
some
of
way.
science is
It's not. I'm not going to be rumpus when I point out that if somebody says, you look at a magnetic field, and I say, that's a magnetic field, though. If I ask someone to show me a carrot, and they show me a magnetic field, and I go, that's a magnetic field, and they go, what have you got to prove magnetic field? It's not a carrot. You're being asked to show ether, not a magnetic field. Showing me a magnetic field and telling me it's ether, no, I know what a carrot looks like.
A magnetic field is ether under torsion.
Is it?
It's under pressure.
So where's ether? So we can decide whether or not it's putting it under torsion. We need to see it.
Well, if you
before
look
can
under a
just make that-
supercell, you'll
There we
see-
are, being rumpus again at every single challenge.
Oh, you asked.
Yeah, middle of responding to you, my friend. Yeah. If you're going to claim that it's ether under torsion, then I need to see the ether so I can assess whether or not it's putting it under torsion or not. You just stating it, that's not going to fly. That doesn't work. Yeah? I can say that there's a love field. And then if you get a certain type of camera, you can see a kind of aura around people when you take a photo of them in a certain way. And that's the love field. And the love fields manifest through the auras you see in these pictures. Does that make it so? No. But that's what you're doing. Showing me auras and telling me that the love field is a consequence of them. No. Yeah, ether's not a consequence of magnetism. Yeah.
He's showing you a conjugate.
Yeah, I'm not going to be rumpused while I laugh at your stupidness. Yeah, don't start talking through me. I'm concluding. Love field versus aura pictures is equivalent to pictures of magnetic fields under a ferrocell, piece of glass with a bit of blood on it that you've stuck over a magnet. Yeah, that's not proving ether. Hello?
Well, you need to understand what a field is in order to make it a love field.
Do I? I just made it up.
Yeah, you just made it up.
Yeah, like ether's just made up, and then we're just told that magnetic fields are a consequence of it after somebody just made it up and told us that, well, it does exist, and then showed us something that isn't it, and told us that it's dependent on it after making it up. Like love fields that I just made up. I mean, I can say they're a consequence of the aura fields in the photographs. Does that make it so? No. Likewise, you telling me that looking at a magnetic field under a ferrocell is a consequence of ether, that ain't true either.
What'd you call it? An aura field?
Yeah, I just made it up. Yeah? Like you showing me a magnetic field.
Yeah. But if
Yeah.
you understand what a field is, then you
Yeah, and
understand.
you understand what an aura is. You understand that people go and get photographs.
yeah.
You understand what an aura is, right? People go out and they get photographs of the auras around them. You understand that, right? You've seen the pictures of aura around people's heads, have you not?
Can't have electricity with.
No, you're going to ignore me? The fact that I've made a complete embarrassment of your example by saying, if I show you a picture of aura around people's heads in photos, everybody in the audience understands what I'm talking about. They can all imagine the gypsy photos of people with auras around them. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Now, if I say, because I've shown you a picture of those auras, that is my proof positive of the love field. Are you going to deny that people fall in love and have babies? That's also a consequence of the love field that obviously exists. So you're denying that babies are made? Yeah, that's what you're doing, dumbos.
Can you prove love?
Yeah, babies get made. Definitely. Are you denying the existence of babies? What evidence have you got that babies don't get made? You can't have non-babies.
Woman gets raped and she has...
I don't need to talk about that. I don't need to disseminate this into rape. When I'm talking about a juxtaposition between you saying that if I show you a magnetic field and then say that what I am showing you in the magnetic field is a consequence of something that I can't show you, that would be ether, then that is equivalent to me saying, here's a picture of somebody's aura. That is love as a background medium to everything in existence. Here's my proof of it. Look, there's an aura, proof of the love field permeating everything. And what, do you deny that babies get made? Because that's because of love. That's the equivalent, dumbos.
You can't prove love, you can't...
Yeah, and you can't prove ether, can you now, dumbos? But you're quite happy to come here and tell us it's real and tell us you like believing in it.
It's not a belief, it's a fact.
Oh, is it not? You can show us this ether for it to be fact.
He's already given it to you.
No, has he? No, he showed me a magnetic field like I showed you an aura.
Well, the magnetic field is only...
Well, the aura field proves the love. Proves it. Magnetic fields, yeah, they're the same as auras. I show you an aura and I prove that there's a love field permeating all of existence. It's the background field to every bit of energy in magnetism also. The love field is the background energy to magnetism. That's a fact.
You're not listening. You can't quantify...
Yeah, the background existence of magnetism is derived from my made-up love field. You know how I'm going to prove that? Not only do auras prove there's a love field, but if you put a ferrocell over a magnet, you can also see the love field that way.
Quantify it.
You put a ferrocell over a magnet and you can see love. How does your own example taste when it comes back with love instead of ether? Yeah, I'm proving that there's a love field permeating all of existence. Stick a ferrocell over a magnet and you will see that which is dependent on the love field. That's magnetic fields. They're dependent on the love field. It's a antecedent consequent relationship. Without the love field, there'd be no magnetism. And therefore, when you see magnetism, it's proving the love field. Do you understand now, dumbos, having your example pointed out back to you, but with love instead of ether?
Problem is you can't even define love.
Oh, I can. It's the thing that makes the babies. Are you stupid? Do you not know how babies get made? I mean, I don't want to go into the explicit details, but that's love. The connection between people. You know, obviously we can't quantify it or show it. It's non-manifest love. But it definitely results in babies being made, and I can definitely show you an aura, which is the manifestation of non-manifest love fields that permeate all of existence.
You can't define it. You can't prove it.
I just did. It's the thing that makes the babies. It's the thing that your ferrocell magnetic field's dependent upon. I've just defined it. It's the necessary antecedent for magnetic fields. There you go. I've just defined it. It's shown in auras and in magnetic fields, which are both dependent on love fields that are made up.
That's going to be embarrassing.
How'd you like your own example parroted back?
That's a load of crap.
It's a load of crap when I use it to prove love fields. How can ferrocells and the fields that they produce when demonstrating love fields be a load of old nonsense, but when you say it with ether, it's got to be accepted as true?
Yeah, it can be defined, it can be proved, and it can be quantified.
Yeah, with the love field is proven by me. I showed you in a ferrocell.
No.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just say that that's the antecedent consequent relationship we have when we look at a ferrocell. Magnetic fields depend on it. If there was no love, there'd be no magnetic fields. You can't have not love, obviously.
What is
your example being parroted back to you feel like? I don't know, you tell me.
I mean, we can define what we speak of, but you can't define what you're trying to juxtapose.
I used your definition, but inserted love with it. I used your definition. What you're saying is what defines ether. I used as an antecedent consequence for a love field. Yeah, making it disseminate into nonsense, which you told me, just nonsense, right? So my example with love, something made up, something I can't quantify or show and has no physical reality, just like ether, that's nonsense when I say it. Of course, ether, that's got no physical reality and is non-manifest and can't be proven and isn't demonstratable in any way, that's to be accepted when you show me a ferro cell over a magnet. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I accept it. I'm an ether believer. Well done.
Now,
is that Paul sighing from Discord?
He fell asleep.
Where are you going to go? Now I've hijacked your stupid examples with love. Where are you going to go from here?
I mean,
no, all you did was misconstrue it.
Oh,
That's all you did with a love field. First off, you need to define love, and then you need to define field.
I see. All I did was misconstrue. All you've done is misconstrued this field that you see under a ferrocell. You've just misconstrued it. First, you need to show us and define what ether is before you start telling us how you're showing it with something that isn't it. You've just misconstrued it.
And I've already showed you multiple times.
No, I showed you the same standard that you showed me with the ferrocell, but I just put love in where you put ether in. How's this tasting? Sweet? Nice, huh? Yum, yum, yum.
I mean, it's
what are you talking about? You use a tool to see it. Is that hard to understand?
Not at all. It's very easy to understand that you see the ferrocell and you see the magnetic field, which has an antecedent consequent relationship with love. It's obvious. I know. I agree with you. It's so easy to see. Why can't you see this? Tell me it's nonsense.
I guess if you're
tell me it's nonsense again. Go on. Tell me it's nonsense. Tell me my example that's your example repackaged is nonsense. Again. Go on.
Yeah, you're just calling love the ether. And
yeah, just tell me I can't show it or prove it.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, I can prove love. This concept. Can I? Oh, well, I'm glad you know I can prove your stupid example when I use it with love.
Because love to you is the ether, so...
Oh, is it? You've decided what love is to me now? I see. Wow, we've got a Mystic Meg in the house. He knows what I'm thinking. Crystal ball time. You don't know what I think love is. I know that it's proven by way of a ferrocell, showing the antecedent consequent relationship with love fields and magnetism. I mean, it's just your example repackaged with love, making it farcical, equally farcical as using it with ether. I'm asking how that's tasting there. Is it yum, 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 yum? Yummy love.
Nathan, can I say something here? People say I either love you or I don't. I think you have a point.
Shout out to Retro Billy. Says too much entertainment for a single day, and he gives me $15. Thank you very much indeed, Retro Bill. I really appreciate the support. Also, Unitox Femi, shout out to you, Sasha. It says your assumption is not correct. Mine is correct. I am.
Well, then, if you're getting money for misunderstanding science, then you're just like the Globers, huh?
Oh right, what's the science? I'll keep the live show. It's just about to round out. Turn my lights back off. Science, you say? Wow, this is just
There's plenty of science behind it. It's being scienced every day.
Excellent. What's the science for ether?
I don't know the specific science that it's...
Oh, so not science then. Wow, that was a bit of empty platitude, wasn't it? So no science then.
Electrical engineering.
Wow, it's almost like you've just got to say that I'm denying science and it makes your point valid, doesn't it? Wow, it's amazing how that works. But you don't have any.
Electrical engineering, dude. All based on ether.
Sorry, engineering? Does that not have the clue in the title that it's not science?
Is electricity...
Sorry, is it engineering or is it science? Are you stupid? Are you an embarrassment to your fellow ether believers when you literally give it the title of engineering and tell me it's science?
What do you think science is?
Why are you asking me, Dumbo? You've just told me engineering is science, you thicko.
You think science is a...
So you're going to tell me what I think now? Another crystal ball moment while he tells me what I'm thinking? No, you think engineering is science because you're thick.
He said we think it's a method, isn't it?
Right, why are we debating what science is? He told me that we'd got science for ether. I asked him what his science was, and then he told me he hadn't got any.
Do you have the same attitude towards QE when he uses semiconductors, conductors, and transistors?
So semiconductors, what's that got to do with ether? Are we on to talking about QE? Seems that every time these ether believers lose, they start attacking QE as well. That's a common occurrence, a repeating theme. You lose badly, I juxtapose your stupid nonsense with love, and then after the fact, after you've been annihilated, start attacking QE. For something he's not here, he's not claiming. You're claiming ether. I mean love. I mean ether. I forget which. It's all very confusing when I use your example to make a mockery of what you're claiming. I mean, that obviously means we've got to disseminate into attacking QE at the end of that stupid, embarrassing nonsense being taken apart by me here.
Those morons, Maxwell, Tesla, all those jerk-offs that lied to you guys, y'all should be mad at them.
Yeah, we should be mad at the people that try to describe light and don't understand it. We should be mad at people that describe a field, don't understand it. You don't understand what a field is.
So why is it that you're launching into telling me what I don't understand? You've got no idea what I do or don't understand. We haven't got into light in its descriptions. We did yesterday with the guy who came. We got properly into it. His misapprehensions about how light works and how it works for you in ether. We understand that. You know, your assumption that we just don't know how it works is pure arrogance. Now, I'm not going to start losing my temper like I did with the guy yesterday. It required far too much editing, so I'm not going to do that again. But we do understand how your stupid claim works, enough to tell you where your misapprehensions about light needing to traverse a medium as a wave have come from. Now, I'm in no doubt whatsoever that neither of you two could tell us how light is described as a wave.
That's a straw man.
And maybe you could start rumpusing me as it's obviously detecting the question that's going to come his way that he's not going to be able to answer. So maybe start rumpusing me. Yeah, maybe you could moan about how you've just started talking through the middle of my sentence that's going to pose a question to you about your stupid claim and how your stupid claim has a necessity for light to be a wave and for that wave to need a medium to be waving in. Now, we've got a really good handle on how you make your claim. Then please don't tell us that we don't understand. We do.
You don't, because that's wrong.
I haven't explained it yet. What do you mean, what's wrong? I haven't actually launched into the explanation of your misapprehensions about the derivation of light as a wave to traverse a medium. I haven't got to that yet, so telling me I'm wrong when I'm summarising your requirements in your claim without actually detailing what those requirements are and how they work, there's nothing for me to be wrong about yet. Idiot.
Yeah, your summarization is wrong.
I haven't summarised it yet, you stupid buffoon. I've told you a requirement of your claim. I've not detailed your misapprehension in regards to light as a wave requiring a medium to wave through. That hasn't been gone through for me to be wrong yet. You're just too slow and too keen to tell me how wrong I am. Like ballers.
Like ballers?
Yeah, that's what you're behaving like. I was accused yesterday of being like a baller. When you tell me I just don't understand, yes, I do. We all do. Every one of us on this panel knows how ethers claim to work.
No, don't think you do.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely, without question. We understand where your wave comes from and why you have a wave. We understand the mathematical derivation of that wave and how you've reified that wave, actually a wave function, into requiring a medium. We do understand. You ad homing us and attacking us based on your preconceived notions that we just don't understand your stupid nonsense are just wrong. We do. We do understand your stupid nonsense and can easily take it apart. Your rumpusing won't succeed from Discord, by the way. You just talking through me endlessly
you can take it apart. You can take it apart, right?
Yeah.
What are all the parts of a magnet?
Sorry, because we're proving magnetism, are we? Are you going to stutter around my immediate objection to the fact that you're asking me about magnets?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, well, they need a love field to work. If you put a ferrocell over a magnet, you can see a prerequisite requirement for the love field when you look at the magnetic field. I think we covered this already. I think I made an embarrassing light of this stupid claim.
He likes to invoke light. He likes to invoke...
Sorry, they're both just rumpusing each other now as they get so triggered over me using the exact same example to prove love again.
No, I just think that you have a misapprehension.
Oh, it's back to you don't understand, does it? While the two fundy muters mute each other from Discord. No, it's okay. It's not going to work. It's not going to fly. No, guys. Yeah, when you look at a ferrocell, that's not ether, by the way. Yeah, that's proving that there's a love field. Because there's an antecedent consequent relationship with that magnetic field you're observing. It needs and must have the all-encompassing love fields that permeate the entirety of existence that we incorporate in our daily lives. So when you look at a ferrocell, it proves the love field as an antecedent consequent relationship. You can't not have love. It's just not possible. Yeah?
Okay, so Nathan, when you look under a ferrocell, what are all the parts of a magnet that you're...
Sorry, what's this got to do with you proving ether?
Because this will help you understand it.
No, it's helping me understand the love field. I just used your example, repurposed for love. But what? It's not acceptable when it's love in the example, but it is acceptable when it's ether in the example. No, just the same rinse and repeat embarrassing nonsense I've taken apart 4 times today.
You're embarrassing.
Oh, am I really? Am I rinsing and repeating this idea that just stating that looking at an aura proves there's a love field, or looking at a magnetic field under a ferrocell proves that there's ether? No, it's just the same embarrassing nonsense I'm having to go through repeatedly as you guys chant through every single word I say from Discord like that's going to achieve something. Like that's going to stop the devastating argument reaching an audience. It's not going to work, lads. It doesn't work like that here.
I just asked you a simple question, Nathan. What are all the mechanical parts of a magnet?
Sorry, am I claiming something about magnetism here?
But do you understand?
Sorry, do I make a claim about magnetism doesn't need to be followed up with you asking me if I understand something?
Yeah,
yes, because if you're debunking something, then you must have an understanding of it, correct?
Right, am I debunking magnetism? I didn't realise I was trying to debunk magnetism. See, that's where you think that your examples of magnetism and me saying that's not ether somehow will be repurposed to me trying to debunk ether when you present magnetism. No, that's you presenting magnetism. I'm not making a claim about magnetism, and I'm not undoing any or debunking any claims about magnetism. Magnetism isn't the subject. Ether's the subject. So if you want to present me ether, I'll have a look at it. If you want to present me magnetism, I'll point out it's not ether.
Actually, I already did a couple episodes ago, and you go, "Oh, what are we looking at, eh?" And I try to tell you, and you say, "Oh, well, this is all debunked because blah 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 blah."
Oh, wow, that sounds like a really concise rendition and repetition of what I said. Did you have quotes around that blah, 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 blah that I took apart in nonsense with a few days ago? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah is pretty much how I tend to take apart nonsense notions of physically reified wave functions into needing mediums. Yeah, it sounds pretty much what I'd say. Physically reifying wave functions into wave necessitating mediums sounds just like blah, 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 blah to me. Or it sounds like you guys just fundy chant through every single word I say and don't listen to anything. And then when you come to repeat it, you repeat what you heard through you chanting through every single word I said, which is blah, 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 blah. For the audience's benefit, this light flashing here from Khan is him not listening and fundy muting Discord so that they can't listen to anything that's being said anymore. So he doesn't have to listen. You can also see Dice Low's light flashing while I'm still in the middle of this statement, because neither of them want to actually listen to me. And what they're hearing is blah, 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 blah. That's why that is what came back in quotes. They're not actually listening to anything. They don't want to be challenged on their beliefs in ether. They don't want to have a repurposing of their stupid claim repackaged with love. They don't want to hear it. That's why they're chanting through the top of me right now.
Challenge here, bud.
See? Not listening to a single word I've just said.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, that's equivalent of them going mute, 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 mute through the top of everything I say. So that A, Discord doesn't have to hear it, B, they don't have to defend it because they haven't listened to it, and C, when it comes to actually repeating what I've said to take apart their stupid, shitty claims, they can just say blah, 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 blah in quotes and think that they can get away with it. No, this is being recorded without your interruption and fundy muting.
But to be fair, Nathan, we can't technically debunk the scientific nature of ether because they haven't presented any natural phenomenon that they can very manipulate in order to prove it.
Precisely. Any last words, lads?
Light is made up of love particles.
I've got a question, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't debunk it because you don't even.
No, you're not going to get a chance. Fundy muting started immediately, Adam. Go ahead, though. The audience will hear.
It is to Discord, actually. And I just want to ask them a question. When they're using a ferrocell, what do they think they're seeing? Are we seeing
love,
light illuminate? Well, other than love, are we seeing light illuminate something, or are we seeing the bending of light via a magnetic field?
You're seeing the interlacing of the magnetic and the dielectric field. The black lines represent the dielectric, and the light represents the magnetic flux lines, and they induce off of one another. You're welcome.
Okay, and is that so? When we see that arced shape, is the magnetic field bending the light into that, or is it just literally a reflection pattern that we're seeing within the ferrocell? What's occurring?
Well, the problem is there's not enough ferrosurfactant to block light out to create that dark line like you're trying to suppose. So yeah, you're seeing an extrapolation of the dielectric and the magnetic field inducing one another. That's what you're seing.
Can you see an extrapolation? Do you know what an extrapolation is?
Just the light I'm interested in, not what it's is it bending the light, or is that just the way in which I'm perceiving the light coming out of the ferrocell, and the shapes and the patterns I'm seeing are just a reflection of the alignment of the iron within the ferrocell? Or is there a claim within this postulation that magnetic field is bending the light, and that's what we're seeing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're seeing the light being bent due to the magnetic field.
Yeah, I thought that was your guys' claim. Yeah. So you're saying I'm seeing actually the light bending. So when I have a pile of iron filings and I make little needly spike things, you're saying that's not the effect I'm getting here, but the magnetic field is just arranging the iron filings, but also creating the toroidal field of which the light follows the path of?
Yeah, the magnetic field is bending the light.
So no ether then.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Arwin took the words out of my mouth. So the cause and effect relationship, if you're going to assert one, loose though it may be, is that's magnetism then. So when I was like, well, that's just magnetism, you'd summarize it that way too.
So magnetism's only a portion of that.
Of course, my bad. Sorry, Adam. He's just made it clear. I forgot my own stupid point. Yeah, that's just a portion of it. It's the portion that's ascribed to the love field that's also an antecedent. I forgot. Sorry. Love is also a part of it, Adam. We forgot the antecedent-consequent relationship that is love and magnetic fields.
I think it's space-time.
Yep.
No, jokes aside, that is one hell of a claim that's just been put to us there. So previously, I've always looked at the ferrocell, just like I said, the iron filings. You use that medium, the medium of iron filings, or in this case, the ferrocell, to align the particles, to give you a visual idea of the field itself. And that I have no issue with. But if what you're actually claiming within the ferrocell now is that magnets bend light, that's a much bigger, stronger claim. Not one I would suggest myself is what I'm seeing if I use iron filings or a ferrocell. Not my postulator, but that seems quite a bold claim and takes this next, to another level if now that it's bending light.
Right. Both are actual natural phenomenon that have been proven, and there's a claim about them. So
So we'll find out in the after show. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Streams, then stay tuned. As I say, there will be an after show to follow. Another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit the thanks button, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. Shout out to Retro Bill for hitting the super chat just as the live show is ending. He said, Cupid's arrow needs a medium. Thank you very much indeed, Retro Bill, for the super chat. Stay tuned if you're watching on an after show.
Lose his cool is good enough for me.
Adam, can you reiterate that point with the iron shavings and the light? That was pretty good.
Sounds like a dodgy porno.
Oh, I'm on mute. So the reason I asked for that clarity is I've been thinking, well, when I looked at the ferrocell, but having listened to the guys, I was getting the impression that they were under the idea that they are bending light. So historically, we didn't have ferrocells, but the way we were always showed how a magnetic field is occupying 3D space would be with iron filings. And this was my point. If I put a magnet underneath and can see the new shape that the iron filings are making, does that mean I've made light spiky? No. It's just a reflection of the iron filings. As I've used the magnetic field to align them, I can see the shape of the iron filings and the reflection of light from those iron filings. So I can see the way in which the magnetic field has aligned the ferrous particles. And it's the same thing in the ferrocell. And that's why I wanted to get clarity from these guys. Did they think they were bending light, or did they think it's just ferric particles within the oil medium? There is another way of perceiving the toroidal field that's slightly different to just a load of jumbled filings. It's within this. And it's quite clever because you get to see almost a 3D version of it. But it's quite illuminating to think that the etheric side think that within this piece of apparatus, they're now bending light with the magnetic field. That I find interesting and a very bold claim.
Hey, QE.
Wait, so I'm not quite sure that I understood what you're trying to say, but if you're saying that because of the way that the iron filings are shaped, right?
No, he's talking about the fact that the magnetic flux lines are essentially spreading out those iron filings in such a way to have this perceivable effect, which is partly true, but not to the full degree.
That's not what Adam said. Adam, say it again.
Yeah, he's talking about the claim that magnetic fields bend light.
You're not Adam.
He's saying that's a bold
You're not
claim.
Adam. He's saying you've paraphrased it incorrectly. He's asking Adam to repeat. That doesn't mean re-paraphrase it incorrectly. Thank you.
I'll try again then. So when I've got iron filings, and I've got a piece of paper I separate, and I put my magnet underneath, and the iron filings align to the field to give me a demonstration in iron filings of some of the 3D makeup of that field. And it's the same within the ferrocell. We've got very much smaller ferric particles within the oil, which when we align them and illuminate them, we can see how those particles, small ferric particles, align within the oil medium. And that gives us a much more majestic representation of the toroidal field. You're able to actually differentiate parts of the field. My point was whether or not you guys on the ether side thought that this ferrocell was also bending the light. You said yes to that's what we're seeing, the two opposites. Whereas my understanding is it's no different to the iron filings in its principle of what it's demonstrating. It's not bending light, you're just seeing the light reflecting into your eye from the arrangement of the iron particles, but it's not bending light around that toroidal field. Is that clear now?
If you have iron filings on a piece of paper and you stick a magnet under it, what you're seeing is just them collecting due to the magnetic field. But when you have the supercell with the filings, with the light, you're actually creating, even though it could be a flat top magnet, whatever, and your supercell is also flat because of the glass, the light that's being shined into it is actually creating a 3D image. So yeah, the light is kind of bending.
Kind of bending? Is it reflecting into my eye in a straight line path, or is what I'm seeing in there the bending of light within the toroidal field? That's what I think
it's
you guys
bending
actually believe.
in the toroidal field.
You're actually seeing bending of light
we all
within
know
the toroidal
that
field.
Light bends. Light bends.
Really? That's what I thought. I don't.
What?
I don't need to challenge that. You need to support it. I think I've raised enough of a challenge by demonstrating. Why would you say that it's different then when we have tiny little bits of ferric particles as opposed to shards with filings? Does the light behave differently around them when it's tiny little bits in oil as opposed to larger bits on paper?
Well, the supercell is just a tool to help see that. Yes, it could still be happening on that piece of paper, but you don't. Your tool is not complete to actually see all of that. You're not seeing those visible light actually bending around it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we've got a much more powerful. So I've taken that analogy and I just want to extrapolate it out to the real world then. We have this amazing toroidal field over our flat plane. Does light bend following that, or does it go straight in the air? Or do we see light obeying the parameters of the toroidal field in how we perceive things?
You're talking about around the Earth?
Real life, yeah. Reality.
Yeah, I would assume so. Light bends.
We see light bending and warping. So when I look over into the distance, the image I see is a warping based on the toroidal field. I don't see things as they are where they are because they've been warped and perverted to give a kind of spirally pattern to everything. Is that your claim?
Well, no, and yes, because of pressure.
Let's just stick with the no because that matches reality, and then translate.
No. Let's go with the yes. No. Carry on telling us how yes. The world I observe is bent into my vision based on toroidal fields from magnetism. You tell us how yes, please.
Well, we do get bending and warping, yes, because of temperature and pressure. Correct. So when there's pressure,
incorrect.
When you have under the supercell, you have a smaller size tool that you're using to see the torsion pressure. It is pressurized because the closer that you get, say, another magnet, say a north and a north, you're pushing the torsion field and the dielectricity closer and closer. You're creating more pressure around it, which would bend the light even more.
You're not doing that though, are you? You're wobbling a magnet underneath some ferric oil, okay? And what you're doing is you're realigning those small ferric particles. You then interpret that as you've just described as pressure and stuff. But realistically, your claim doesn't match with the real world. Otherwise, we would be looking through spirals everywhere because we've got the most amazing toroidal field over us, haven't we? Yeah. So the assumption that you're saying of what occurs within the ferrocell doesn't match reality. So when we go to the small scale, you're saying it changes the rules of physics. Because you can't deny that we've got a massive super toroidal field around us. That's the whole premise of looking into the ether and these fields, isn't it? So are you saying that physics changes when we do it on the small scale and look through the ferrocell? We would expect light to bend there, but no, not in the real world.
Silence. Also, Adam.
Hold on, he's going to answer. Hold on, Kiwi. Hold on. Go ahead.
Well,
okay.
I would say that there's not a singular magnetic field in the Atmos.
It's not
as we see in the ferrocell.
Why would you say that?
Because anything having mass, any bit of matter having
field
mass
for
has a
directional purposes,
magnetism involved in it.
With lots of different ones.
Not listening to you, Adam.
I'll repeat it again. When we use a compass, yeah, the first thing we're kind of noticing with magnet, are we aligning with one magnetic field, or is it just lucky that we pull on some 3 or 4 random ones and it lines us up with north? Or in reality, on the surface, do we have one large magnetic field, which is certifiably?
I'm pretty sure there's 15 different magnetic fields that a compass would have to account for. Is there not? There could be more or less, but I'm pretty sure it's around 15.
15 different norths.
15 different norths now. Okay.
Okay.
No.
Magnetic north is almost never true north. So that's also when you're saying north, you got it.
We're only dealing with magnetics. True north's kind of irrelevant if we're just dealing with magnetic fields. Thrown in a different description.
Which is a different guy.
Yeah, it's kind of a side
we're
point,
12 north poles, 12 magnetic poles north.
Right. Yeah. And that's where that conversation's going, so that we don't have to accept that the reality is we don't see light bending like this with the most amazing magnetic field. If any magnetic field was going to do it, the Earth would be the one that would be saying, look at that. I might have to have a look at why that phenomenon is occurring. But we don't see that phenomenon. So to try and then ascribe that in a ferrocell when there's a perfectly good explanation as to what we're looking at in this piece of equipment, yeah, perfectly commensurate with known physics. Nothing magical's happening. We're not getting pressure and unpressures. We're getting an alignment within the magnetic field of little bits of iron, which is what we're seeing. And I don't think there's anything more magical than that about it. It's beautiful what it enables us to see. But to try and pretend we've got pressure waves and all these sorts of things, or that in some way light is being bent within this magical time portal, Stargate that I've managed to make, yeah, it's just fanciful. And just a denial of just the beautiful simplicity of what a ferrocell actually is. It denies that.
May I add just something short onto that point?
Yeah, I think so. Adam was concise enough. Go ahead.
From the Department of Physics, University of Illinois, the path light takes is not affected by the presence of a magnetic field. End of citation. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Well done, Adam. Well done.
Isn't it just more likely that whatever the phenomenon, even though not man-made, within that ferrocell thing, that the light bending is not caused by the magnetics, but by the substances within it, within that medium?
Didn't QE just read that the other day? He read it as well.
There is no light bending. That was my whole premise.
Well, I got
Maybe
it. Adam.
there is
Good will.
diffraction happening somehow. If there's particles.
Oh, Baldwin.
No, I'm not being Baldwin. It's just a serious question. Right? If there is any perceived to be light bending, then either it isn't happening, it's a complete mistake. It's definitely not happening because of magnetism, but maybe there is some kind of diffraction going on.
Did I hear that light was being passed through an oil? I came in late.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's a ferrofluid, and blood's a good substitute.
So not air.
Say again.
So not air then, something of a different density, different medium of a different density.
Brian, you got to listen to the whole thing. Just trust me.
That's why it was compared to iron filings, because it's essentially the same thing, isn't it? You're getting them to line up in the magnetic field. That's all that you're doing.
Yeah, and you've still got the same, and that's why I was trying to juxtapose those two. You've still got the supposed cause of bending of the light, which would be the magnetic field, yet we see the iron filings as iron filings arranged as best as they can, because they've got such larger mass, they've got to be supporting each other. We get those spiky little shapes, but we don't see it curling and spiraling towards us based on the nature of the field. No bending of the light. It's just the reflection of the light into my eye from that object. And that's what I was trying to say. That's the same thing that's occurring in the ferrocell. We've got no bending of the light. All we've got is the manipulation of the much smaller ferric particles within the oil, which gives us a much better ability to allow those little particles to show and demonstrate the shape of the toroidal field much better and with greater detail than clumpy iron filings.
But it wouldn't matter, would it? Well, it wouldn't matter what happens with the light, because it's an unnatural situation.
No, that was the point of the question I asked, Brian. I was trying to clarify whether guys that are, supportive of ether and use this ferrocell, how they perceive what they're looking at. What credence do they give to their observations? Yeah. Do they believe that it's showing in a beautiful way the nature and the 3D space that the toroidal field's taking up in that plane, which is what I think, or do they think that ferrocell is bending light? And they gave a much more detailed thing. They were showing pressure waves and compression and release and so on. That they draw a lot more inference from their Ken Wheeler view of magnetics into that picture that the iron filings draw. They draw a lot more inference from that. But I was just fundamentally just trying to ask whether or not they thought they were bending light in that piece of apparatus.
I think, Adam, the hammer came down, which was so good, is when you said, how come we don't see in spirals?
On a slightly different but the same note, I've got a beautiful picture of Simon Dan's aura in Master B if you want to check it out. It's on screen for the audience.
Yeah, in that conversation earlier, Adam, they brought up the golden ratio and they're trying to make a claim. And then you said, well, then why don't we see in spirals if you're bending light? And the Earth that we live in is where you would see it, but you have to take it here into this magnet and start doing that and saying that's what reality is. But how come we don't see it in reality?
You brought up DNA. They don't believe. I don't believe in DNA.
Who brought up
Obviously.
DNA? They don't believe in DNA. Ask them.
No, that's what I got back from them.
You damn atomist.
How can he? This is blowing my mind. Stop. To believe in DNA. Can you just?
Yeah.
I can never say the full title. What's DNA when it's not abbreviated?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
One more time, a bit clearer, please.
Deoxyribose nucleic acid.
Okay. Yeah. How can you deny that it's just like a carrot or something. You know what I mean? It's a thing.
They don't believe in atoms. I'm shocked that he let 10th go on.
Hold on.
As soon as he brought up DNA, I'm surprised he didn't stop him right there.
That was the next thing. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off. They don't believe in atoms. Well, that in a way is almost reasonable because the description of it is what they would object to when it's reified, right? It's a description of something that we observe, but it's a conceptual way of describing it when you describe atoms.
We've seen him.
It's only a model. And even if you see him through electron microscopes...
Did you not hear what he just said? I love how he just completely brushed past what QE just said. He said, no, we've seen that. That's what he said.
Yeah, we've seen it. Electron microscopy and its variants. Yes.
Yeah, but that's not literally seeing, though. That's... yeah, laugh it up. It's deriving it from the patterns of the electrons. You're not literally seeing it. No. You're seeing a 3D representation of their pathways. Yes.
I'd agree with Arwen there. That there comes a point of realization what we're dealing with. You can't see something smaller than the thing you're viewing it with, can you?
We've had this discussion in the past.
Yeah.
Well, go on then. Let's see you defend it then. No. I want to hear you defend it.
It's not. He didn't need to. I'm about to support him whilst criticising it as well.
Okay, go ahead. I love a shit sandwich.
Well, it is because, and we mentioned it last week, it's a realisation of what we're dealing with when we get to this level. We're dealing in conventions, whether my electrons are going around in circles, orbits, S-shape, It's a convention of understanding for great detail. But fundamentally, you have to realise what we see with. Yeah. And what's used, photons. So the best we got is a bigger particle, which will give us less resolution on this thing, but it's still demonstrating the physicality to me of it, that there is something there occupying. Whether it's only there when I fire the electron at it or look at it or use it or move it is a quantum question. But to kind of go into the minutiae and try and pick fault there, well, I've never seen an atom, therefore they can't exist, is a little bit sophist in a way.
A little bit, I agree.
You get to see the exclusion, and then the atom is filled in your mind, because what else would be there? That's what you're expecting to see, but you don't actually see the atom. You see everything except the atom.
What?
I don't know what Arwen was doing really, really well up until that point.
What do you mean?
Time for breakfast, guys. Sorry.
Well, isn't that how it is revealed? You let the electrons go. Do the electrons go right through the middle of the atoms? No, they always go past everything. And that's how you then get the pattern of where they went. And you get to see something. You get to interpret that with your mind, and it looks like little balls.
Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
The way I'm visualize that, Arwen, is, you go into like a gift shop and you've got those pin plates with thousands of pins that you can flick back and forward, and you put it over your hand and you get the shape of your hand. That's a scanning electron microscope.
Right, exactly. So you get to see the exclusion, and your mind interprets what you don't get to see, basically.
Yeah, but okay, that's fine and great. We'll go with that. But Adam's point is that there is an occurrence, a thing, something you can quantify, something you can measure, and in no uncertain terms justify its existence. Now, how it's described has very severe limitations of language and conceptualization placed upon it. Now, with those limiting factors taken into account when we are doing what we do, which is being hyper-specific about these things, you can, as Adam's gone through quite concisely, again, he's on fire today, summarise that, we appreciate the conceptions used to describe this convention. And what's the convention describing? Something that definitely exists in physical reality to be describing. It's not like something that you can't qualify, can't show, haven't got anything to justify it with other than other things that are not it. So it's not like we're saying, okay, well, the atoms exist. Now let's look at my love meter. It's not like that. There is something to show.
Something to be revealed, but by filling in that which it isn't.
If you want to focus on that and just distract from me getting back on the rails as Adam did so well, then yeah, we could focus on that as well, even though I've tried to get away from it.
I'm sorry. I was always really amazed with that realization. Like, it looks like this, but it's a rendering.
Please,
so
you're not picking what I'm subtly trying to put down, which is to focus on what Adam's trying to get at in this regard, because it's got a direct mirror with the general topic of showing things that aren't capable of having anything to qualify them with. How it's qualified, Adam's also summarised quite nicely today as well by saying, yeah, we realise there's some wiggle room for them in this regard when we're talking about a convention that we're using to describe something with. Now, the limitations on the convention we can look past and will disclaim and are, as opposed to your very valid, and yeah, it's also just as interesting when you look at that particular process. It's just don't want that to be the focus when Adam's done so well. That's not subtle.
Before I go, I just want to know what that guy meant by 15 different Norths. Is he talking about... hang on, no, I'm serious. Is he talking about Northeast, Northwest, which isn't North anymore? Or was he saying there were actually 15 different Norths?
Saying there's 15 different magnetic fields, and we then took that to the next natural progression to that statement, which is that then you'd have different norths for all these different magnetic fields. If you're going to be picking different ones, then they're not all pointing at the same point, are they? There'd be 15 of them. So, no, he wasn't saying that. We just took it to its logical conclusion after his statement that there's multiple different fields, 15 of them, in fact.
There are different compasses for different areas of the world, yes?
Yeah, I wondered if somebody would actually bring this up on the real track in that regard. Yes, there are.
No.
Yeah, there is. What do you mean, no?
Where the confusion is coming from?
Hold on, you're heavily distorted now, Paul. Can you drop and rejoin Discord because your line's horrendous?
Can I ask a question?
Hang on. Different compasses?
Yeah, there's a south hemisphere compass.
Yeah, you paint the other end red,
Hemisphere.
but the compass itself fundamentally isn't different. How you pattern it,
is that any...
put markings on it, isn't?
Yeah, you're still loud. Maybe just move farther from the mic.
When I can ask a question, I would like to.
Well, it's Paul that's laid down the claim, so he's not. It's me telling him to stop talking because he's a bit distorted. But maybe we'll get his claim anyway and just have to deal with it.
All right. Well, I gotta go.
Not you, Tenth. Not you, Paul. But said no. There's multiple different compasses. Is it Compi?
I have heard that there are different compasses, say, if you're in New Zealand, but I'm not sure if it's true. I just heard it, that's all.
I've looked into it. And just think about it logically. Different compasses, what for? What do you need a different compass for? Is it a different type of magnetic field? So it's not a magnetic field?
It's compasses,
is it just if you're on a ball, as soon as you transit the equator, you have this nonsensy stuff that suddenly you would actually start to align with the southern pole. And that's what they do. They paint the other end red, so it looks like it's pointing south. It's not, it's pointing north. They just painted the other end of the compass red instead of the end they paint in the northern hemisphere. That's all.
So I was going to say, because they think we're on a ball, so sure. Why don't you have 90 different compasses? But my question is, so still no ether?
I'm glad you're paying this so little attention, Neil.
No, we drifted off.
I will point out that the light bending proves that it is a sphere, because if it was a sphere, it would bend into a plane.
That's terrestrial refraction, right?
But it's caused by the bending of space-time.
Okay.
I'm aware of a claim.
Time is involved too, right? Sorry.
For what it's
So
worth,
right.
I found a article that says that the reason you have different compasses in the northern and southern hemispheres is because the magnetic field isn't exactly like horizontal. So if you hold your compass horizontal, it'll try to like tilt forward or tilt back a little bit, and so they weight the needles differently so that it stays sort of level instead of flopping one way or the other, which might make it inaccurate.
Wow. Think about that. Just think about that.
What's the paint they put onto it? What's the paint they put onto it?
It makes perfect sense, guys.
What kind of paint is that? What would that do to one end?
Can I
say again?
What? No, just how does a compass work? It needs to float there, doesn't it? It needs to be so lightly contained that its mass is favorable to line up energetically with the field. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So it needs to have little resistance so that it can align with the field. And if you tilt your compass, it stops, doesn't it? Because one end seesaws, which is why you have to keep it flat wherever you are on the flat plane. And then it aligns with that one directional pointing field. Wherever you are on the surface, it's aligning to the north.
Yes, and if I may, I'm getting feedback. Right? So the magnetic field is obviously caused by, well, what I assume to be rock, magnetic rock. It's going to be below the horizon. So it's not surprising if at times it would point kind of downward a little. But yeah, it's not
below the horizon.
It's going to not point straight to like it like
what
break and point straight
below the horizon. What are you talking about?
Well, what's causing the magnetism? Well, not the mid-air, right? I take
below the horizon. What are you talking about? You're talking rubbish. But why don't you prove you're below the horizon?
Well, that's where Earth is, right? That's where the Earth side of everything in view is, right? Below the horizon.
There's above the horizon too. We
Sometimes
don't know what causes
there might be a mountain sticking out, but the vast majority of dirt and rock is below the horizon at all times. Isn't it?
What is the cause of the magnetic field? Is it dirt and rock?
I think so. Or if not in a direct sense, then that's going to be the guiding factor. It's not like a mid-air magnetic field, I assume. That's like out of nothing. That's forming in mid-air. That makes no sense. What we know causes magnetic fields is metals, magnetized metals, either electrified or naturally magnetic. And those are, majority of them are below the horizon.
But that would mean that the further away from north you got, the more it would have to bend down.
On a globe?
No, in your claim.
No, in my claim, then the further north you go, if you stand right on top of the magnetic north, then yeah, then it would point straight down, probably. Or spin.
Yeah, but the further south you go, then the more the angle between you and that piece of rock would change.
Well, it would go more horizontal because the angle to that presumed to be magnetic rock that's below the horizon.
And does any of this happen?
The north is farther away, so the angle is less steep.
And does this happen?
Video in the main chat.
I don't know.
Compasses.
At least
I'm just basing this on the claim that somebody said, like, yeah, sometimes it seems to point slightly down. Well, this is how I explain.
I have never experienced that.
I can't believe we wandered off into absurdity after Adam did such a wonderful job.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be ridiculous here. I'm just speculating.
Well, but you're not even speaking like you're speculating. You're throwing it out there as if this is some kind of fact. Compasses don't do that.
This is what he does to people.
They don't do that.
I've seen compasses sometimes do that, where the needle seems to point slightly downwards.
I have never seen that ever.
Okay, well, I have. So that's why I thought it was potentially something, because I've seen it myself at times. Maybe it was a faulty compass or something. I don't know, man. I just thought it was worth entertaining.
Is Arwen upsetting you again, Brian?
There's a demonstration of it in main chat right now, so apparently it is a thing.
Oh, there we go.
How does compass works on a flat Earth?
Wow, that's loud. How does a compass work on a flat Earth? Just points at north. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's working on globe Earth.
It wouldn't work very well because, yeah, if at the equator on a globe, it would point, 90 degrees to the ground constantly? It doesn't do that.
I have a compass on my phone. How was that affected by this up-down thing?
I think that reply was part of it. I think that statement of how does it work on flat Earth comes from the confusion of them using a flat Earth to prove a globe. So they actually think the flat Earth we're dwelling atop is the globe. So every proof they find, they think is for a globe.
That's exactly.
But at the equator, your compass on a globe should point like perfectly level, right? Because it aligns with field lines, and at the equator, the field lines would be going pretty much exactly horizontal, and then at the poles, they would be pointing straight down.
What? That's not how compasses work.
That is how a compass works. Is it aligns with the magnetic field lines?
I have a question regarding
but the magnetic field is not going to be spherical like that.
No, it's toroidal.
It's not going to be spherical parallel to the presupposed spherical Earth. That makes no sense.
The toroid would also be parallel to the Earth at the equator specifically because it's a toroid. Just draw it, and it'll make sense because they're going to be tangent to each other.
I've seen the drawings about the supposed magnetic field around globe Earth, but that makes absolutely no sense, though.
Hold on, is he saying globe Earth?
I'm saying
I'm not sure.
Toroidal field.
Magnets are toroidal, so necessarily at the equator you're going to have the tangent to the surface. At the pole, you're going to have it pointing straight down. If we're saying it's the globe, somebody said that at the straight into the Earth, which isn't accurate. Anyways,
how? Is he technically correct? I'm lost here. Sorry, guys.
Well, this is off the back of what you were saying, Erwin, so you shouldn't be lost.
Yeah, you started it.
I wasn't presupposing a globe when I tried to explain that.
Neither was he.
Explain what?
Why a compass would tilt slightly. And then the whole story about always pointing below the horizon, because that's where all the magnetic materials are.
I don't see compasses tilting slightly. What might make it tilt is the paint they put on one end. That might make it tilt.
Is this Brian talking?
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Hold on. We've dragged that out enough, Arwen and Brian. Zed Hammer or whatever you call. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Brian, are you familiar with something called zone balancing when it comes to compasses, magnetic compasses?
No, I'm not.
There are, if I remember correctly, there might be more, but there's 7 different geographic magnetic zones that they tune or zone balance a traditional magnetic compass to.
And is this a real thing, or is this based on a heliocentric model?
Oh, this is real.
I mean,
sorry, Arwen. Sorry. But I have to ask that question because there's so many things in our world that we're told this has to be done because of this thing. And it turns out the only reason that we're doing this thing is because there's a belief we live on a globe. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I'm not, and that I feel like goes to the heart of some of the problem in this argument. I won't go too far off on it, but whether it's real or not, I have no idea. I haven't done it. They claim, like I said, there are manufacturers of compasses that claim that was and had to be done, and now they have like quote unquote full world magnetic compasses that you don't have to balance. However,
it's not that they balance them.
It is out there.
They're not balancing. So these zones, zone 1 is all the northern hemisphere. Yep. Zone 2 is the band in the Tropic of Cancer, roughly. Then you've got zone 3 across the equator. Zone 4, the other tropic, and then zones 5, 6, and 7. But the southern continents, Australia, but what they are is your declination alignments, aren't they? You know, what are you doing? Training a compass? What is it, like circus school? It's a compass. What are we doing if we're claiming we're training them in some way or calibrating them? The only way you could be calibrating it is adjusting the dial slightly, so that if you're in particular areas, these zones where, and I'm pre-surmising here, because nobody seems to know, and that if you've got strong areas of magnetic declination, then you may as well account for that a little bit. So if you've got an Australian compass, yeah, and you've got to deal with 12 degrees, you may as well kind of build it in, so it's giving you that correct north. So you don't have to account for it all the time when you're out in the bungle. That, I think, is what we're talking about, but I'd stand to be corrected, unless there is a way of training a compass needle. Bride, do you know one?
Well, what I would say there is that the fact that it would come back to declination. What is declination? It's an angle change. That's what declination is in reality. So if you take, I'm just going to use the Gleason's map, right, as an example, right? You take the Gleason's map because it has a center point, or the AE map, right? And you put a little boat on that map. Anyway, doesn't matter what part of the map it's on land, anything, and just move that little boat or that little line, right? Sorry, take an angle between that and the north. Move that little boat a bit, right? And that angle changes. So is it the angle between them and a center point on a horizontal plane that's changing? Or is it a moving toroidal field between the angle between that and geographic north, what they call it? Go on.
It's the difference between what your compass says and the way in which the map works. That's what declination is. It's not a reality thing. It's something in reality that doesn't comport to your map for some reason. So you change the thing you've taken from reality, the north. You say, no, it's not that way, it's that way, because my map says.
I don't think it has much to do with declination or variation as they do with inclination. Like north, say you're pointing up a street and a street goes north-south. That might be north, but whether your compass tilts up or down, but still in that same direction along the road is, I think, what's being corrected for. And you do that, I think, by adding tiny bits more or less weight to one side or the other of the needle. Not so much changing the direction of north, but making it so that that needle stays balanced so that it doesn't like flop over and incur friction with the dial.
Yeah, but why would it be flopping over?
In these 3 pence throwaway things. Imagine the precision of having to put counterbalancers on a compass needle.
I don't know how much of a precision is needed, or if cheap compasses do it.
You've got something that's weighing, 0.1 of a gram, and you're saying it needs correction. Now, this thing's milled in a factory to an even more greater variance of inaccuracy in this cheap Chinese factory where they're turning them out by the hundreds of thousands. And now we've got to believe that these things have to be accurately balanced. Where? All the ones I've bought in gift shops couldn't have cost more than 20p to make. And I've not seen anybody checking it, balancing it. Yeah, there might be people being mugged off, but doesn't the basic thing work?
Yeah, I think the basic thing works pretty well.
I think that's, as Brian alluded to earlier, it's kind of ball and nonsense. Yeah, it's part of the rhetoric. Oh, it'd be slightly different, because if you were on a ball, it would be slightly different, wouldn't it? There'd be also, like I said, just crossing the equator, you've then got the opposite toroidal field. We don't, as I'm aware, claim we're dealing with the opposite, just one side here on the flat plane. Yeah, the other's underneath, isn't it? So two very different things, but those kind of excuses are required on the ball because you're dealing with the opposite in their world. They're not necessary, and like I said, I think it's all a bit of fanciful tales for the practical reality of compasses.
Well, if we look at the gyro compass, the whole point of the gyro compass, and now these days, as I've spoke before on it, they use some of the newer ones. They have the fiber optic gyro within them. The whole point of the gyro compass is that it holds geographic north. That's the point of it. But on ships with gyro compasses, they have to still account for declination. So they have to still declinate the gyro compass. Why is that? Because the boat that they're in has moved, and its angle between, because gyro compass is just going to hold north. You set it to north, it's just going to hold that. But when you move your ship, then that angle between your ship and the center and geographic north will change. So the point I'm making is, like, they state that the reason for declination is that we have a moving toroidal field and a stationary geographic north, and it's the angle that you're making between those two. So your angle has to change because you're following a magnetic north, but it's not giving you geographic north. But even with geographic north, just let me finish 1 second. The point I'm making is, even with, like, if you just hold geographic north, like a gyro compass is supposed to do, and it does, when you move your ship, the angle changes. Is that not the angle that they're accounting for? They're calling a moving toroidal field.
Well, that's the point, right? Look at this map, right? So wherever I are in these different zones, I'm going to have different bits of weights on my compass, apparently. They've got to be slightly adjusted to work. But surely the point of the compass is so that I can travel from the Falkland Islands here, all the way up through all these zones. So when does my compass become inaccurate and accurate? And why did I need to change it in the first place if it's only going to be accurate? Yeah? This is illogical. Yeah? The point of a compass is to traverse all these areas. So why am I balancing weights on it to make it accurate? How do I calibrate it once I've moved from zone 4? How do I make sure I'm in zone 4 to know that I've got to calibrate it to be a zone 4 compass?
Well, that's the thing about it. I mean, if you look at this, if you make that into a flat map, you're going to have all these different zones just moving out from a center point, isn't it? So, like, on the globe,
it's pointless. If I turn that into a circle, and it doesn't matter, it's pointless. It's saying that the compass no longer works. It's only applicable in one of these zones. Otherwise, it needs calibrating for. As soon as I move from the zone I've calibrated it from, it's again useless. That seems to be, or there's no point in calibrating in the first place.
Well, on a globe, you would have to do that. If you had a globe heliocentric belief concerning the toroidal field that we have naturally on the Earth. On a globe, those corrections would be necessary if you were to work within that kind of fantastical paradigm. But
wait, are we navigating the compass on a flat Earth, or what's going on here?
But is this a real thing?
Sorry?
Different compasses for different regions? Does that actually exist in the real world?
No.
No.
Okay.
What was it you said, B?
I was just asking, like, we're saying that the navigation works somehow if we don't have these regions, or I'm not understanding exactly what the premise is with going into compasses.
Well, what's the point of the region?
Like, do compasses work or do they not work? Is, I guess, the question that I'm asking.
Yeah, they do.
That's exactly my rhetorical point I was making. Yeah. In highlighting this,
Can you make it? Hold on. Can you make it again then, Adam?
Yeah. So this was cited to us as something that's real. So I've quickly looked it up because the person that cited it couldn't specify what the tweaks were and what the zones actually implied. So we looked at it. I showed you that map, and that's the implication, is that they need to be balanced in the field in these different areas. But as I point out, that seems to be a complete contradiction of the primary purpose of a compass, which is to be able to transit these different zones and still know where you are. So if they needed calibrating in the first place, kind of shows it doesn't work. It seems a very odd claim. Now, that is applicable to whether you're dealing with a ball or a flat plane. As I said, you can see reasons for bullshittery in the ball model because it does create issues, contradictions, secondary toroidal opposing fields spinning the other way on the ball. If you understand magnetics, that's going to be an issue for them. On the flat plane, I don't think there's a need for all of this. But I think it was a flat earther that's raised and said we have to have these things because we've got the starting point, we've got 15 different norths.
I mean, from what I've read, for what it's worth, I haven't read it as being necessary so much as a suggestion. Like I don't know if you're the person who posted the picture in main chat that shows like the map of the 7 zones and stuff, but it only says that you should balance them. And the article that I posted a while ago just says that if you don't, the needle is likely to drag on the base of the compass, which wouldn't break the compass, it wouldn't make it useless. It would just have a little bit more friction and maybe take longer to line up. So I don't think it's a matter of compasses being useless or not useless if you take one with the wrong zone over. So I'm sure a compass is still effective across all the zones. Maybe just with slightly different characteristics of friction.
And so that point then still stands. I'm in zone 1, and I've gone to all the cost and expense of balancing my compass, and I'm traveling. I'm off to South Africa. Yeah, and I use my compass all the way through zone 2, 3, 4, 5, and into 6. Should I have balanced it for zone 6? Should I have balanced it for zone 4?
No.
So what's...
No, I've had extensive training in navigation, and I've never heard any of this. Military doesn't teach us stuff. Tell you that much.
All right. Whatever picture I'm looking at even says compasses cannot be zone balanced in the field, so that's not something you do.
So what's the purpose? If you know where you are in the first place and you know where north is, what do you want to just keep checking north and stay in the same position? That's not what a compass is for, is it? That's what I'm saying. The whole... You can't...
Does anyone just carry around like 7 different compasses so they have all the zones?
I doubt it.
You make yourself a bit louder, Emerald. I can't make you any louder than I have, unfortunately.
Is this better? I just moved the mic a little bit closer.
Well, to be fair, you'd have to use Jack Sparrow's compass.
Jack Sparrow.
The compass that points to the thing you want most.
But why is the rum gone?
Well, on a sailing ship, like just a sailing ship with a crew, that would sail from place to place. Like somebody's sailing races.
With a crew? Sailing ship?
Sorry?
With a crew?
I'm talking about a professional sailing ship with a crew that would be involved in these races, these big international sailing races. Did they have more than one compass, magnetic compass, or did they have one very good quality magnetic compass on board?
On a sailing boat with a crew?
Yeah.
I think they use GPS.
Stop breaking
I'm
Brian's
asking about what they have on. I'm not. Yeah, thanks, Dale. Yeah. Do they have more than one compass on board that sailing ship?
How big's the
With a crew.
They might all have a compass.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying. I'll say it more precisely. Do they have 7 different compasses for when they're in 7 different zones? Because there's one main compass. There's one main compass on that sailing ship. One main one. One main magnetic compass. A very good quality, probably brass, whatever it is.
I've read that too. One main magnetic compass to rule them all.
Are we? You're trolling the hell out of me.
You've probably got
7 different compasses on a sailing ship that will be sailing through.
Please stop repeating Brian. He's trying to make an actual point that I'm ruining. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, there's not 7 different compasses that I'm aware of on any sailing ship that's going to be sailing through these 7 different zones because it's sailing in every direction internationally it can. That's what they do.
The other thing is, as I remember from my Cub Scout days, You hold the compass in your hand, and if it's not level, one of the end tilts anyway. And what you do, you don't need to take it apart and balance it. Is you just move your hand a little bit until it's floating freely. And you've kind of auto recalibrated it.
It's a dying trade. I looked it up in the yellow pages. Compass balancing. There's a couple of old sods that still do it.
Are we entertaining the idea that there's 15 magnetic fields and they bend light to our? Is that we still on that?
Has anyone double checked the number of magnetic fields that they're supposed to be?
No,
Well, aren't there-
absolutely,
I haven't
definitely
found
not.
15.
Nobody here has done that. Whoever asked that question, great question. Is it you, B?
All I could find is one random source from NASA on that says we have like 8 sub-magnetic fields and then one big one.
If you're looking for references, you're looking in the wrong place. Look in the maps. There's plenty of magnetic maps. That's where you'll find more and more and more information. But in the same way that there's plenty of maps, there's plenty of magnetic maps.
Yeah. So is our takeaway that we have... So do we think we have different magnetic zones or don't we?
That's a good question. Who's going to summarise this one? Which side of the fence? We all find out everyone's in disagreement when you ask a question like that.
I'm not an expert, so you'd have to go and ask a zone balancer what he thinks. But if I'm being honest, it sounds a little bit like jobs for the boys to me.
That's a no from Adam. He doesn't believe this nonsense about having to correct different compasses.
Ask your sister. Ask your sister. When she went and did the navigation training, she clearly took on board all the important stuff, to make sure if she was lost at sea, she could find a way. Did she learn about zone balancing? Because it would be imperative.
I think it's a low blow. I'd keep Nathan's sister and family out of it.
She used to have boats, that's why he's asking.
I'm joking, Nathan. Come on, you're always doing it.
Okie doke. Is that it? Are we rounding out?
No, we're not. We're not rounding out. We're not rounding out.
4 more hours, damn it.
I'm trying to finish what I'm eating to get out the next thing I want to say that's going to be super interesting. And everyone's going to want to have a big conversation about it.
Where's Neil when you need him?
So is the conclusion...
Hold on, let me say something.
Hold on, Neil. Go ahead, bro. Hold on, Neil. Just go ahead, John.
So is the conclusion that if you have to balance a compass, there's 15 different magnetic fields and light is bending through a toroidal shape? Is that like
that is in essence the logical conclusion of this? Yes, Adam only alluded to it. You've made it nice and glaringly obvious for me to round out on. So yes, that's the logical conclusion.
No, the logical conclusion is that each big ship has one magnetic compass.
No.
One.
No,
yes,
there are 15 norths, and the light bends to our eyes through the magnetic fields.
What is declination then? In the official claim, it's claimed to be a moving toroidal field around a geographic north. And that's claimed to be the change in the angle. Now, I don't believe that, but that's claimed to be the change in the angle. So how could they have all these different fields and all these different zones? How are they going to account for all this declination all the time when they're only looking for geographic north?
Indeed.
It's just how the sextant has a quick go to the center of the Earth button. The compasses have look what section you are button or readout. There you go.
Yes, correct, Chocolate.
You are in zone 7.
Yes. Sometimes it doesn't read out correctly. That's when you take your compass to your compass balancer. The dying trade is kept alive by a few old sods that know how to balance the compass so it knows what zone you're in, so that it can point to one of the 15 norths.
What if you're lost in the Amazon?
What you're going to be trying... What you want to do is align it to your local horizontal.
Right. Well, no, that's what the compass balancer does.
Don't say horizontal. It's a bad word.
He's got a special global 90. The compass balancer.
He's a what,
90.
yeah, clearly this is going to be my opportunity to round out. So with that, I'll say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and Jupas panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the thanks button, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.